You guys probably know that there's a brand new movie called Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, and as the expert of all things Resident Evil, of which I've just decided right now, I went and saw it, and, it was a movie. Basically, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is a combination of both Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. Now, if you've played the games in the past, you'd say, well, that's a lot to tackle. Arclay Mountains, the zombie outbreak in Raccoon. So the movie just says, you know what? Forget all that. How about we just do all of it at the exact same time? And after watching it for about 5 to 10 minutes, I busted out some napkins and I started to take notes on the movie, which I never do because I usually see the movie and I kind of just form an opinion after. And anything I remember, I add in when I make videos like this. However, that was the first page of notes. And here's another one. I just kind of kept going. It started as a list of things that were just flat out wrong. And then it just turned into things I don't enjoy or things that there's like one thing on here that I like, but it just started to come down to plot details. But essentially, the Bravo team has to go to the Arclay Mountains to find out where Bravo team went, just like in the game. But Leon is already hanging out with stars, and he has to protect the building from the zombies that's just starting. But Claire is trying to uncover the secrets of Umbrella. Kind of. So, let me get this out of the way immediately. There is zero tension in this movie if you haven't played the games. If you're somebody that has no idea what Resident Evil is, if you don't know about Resident Evil 1 and 2, you're not going to understand what the big problem is. They talk about it a little bit, how Umbrella is this pharmaceutical company that, you think they're just making a stress relief medication? Of course not. They're making bioweapons. But, that's the whole entire thing. There's really no big plot, conflict. Things just keep happening until the movie suddenly ends. It's like somebody was tasked with explaining both the plot of Resident Evil 1 and 2, and they only added in the big details. So, let's go through the list real quick. So, there's going to be a little bit of spoilers. Probably a lot of spoilers, but honestly, who cares? I don't recommend seeing it. It was meh, unless you just want to see how random it can really get. But so to start off, take every big reference from Resident Evil 1 or 2 and then just make them throwaway quotes. As in a little head nod, hey, as a writer and or director, I probably played the game or looked up the Wikipedia, such as so Leon's an alcoholic, which, I'm not going to really debate canon a whole lot, but Leon's not an alcoholic until he actually sees the zombie shit go down. On top of that, I guess he was disavowed from the military because he had a friendly fire incident, which, actually, I meant to look it up. Let me see real quick. Yeah, I don't know. If you look at Leon's Wikipedia, yeah, he was orphaned because his family was into crime, apparently. I didn't know that. However, in the movie, Leon S. Kennedy is a deadbeat, bottom of the barrel nobody who, when he was in the military, had a friendly fire incident. Sorry, I had a sneeze that just jumped me. Leon had a friendly fire incident when he was in the military, and his father was some high-ranking official that had to bail him out. So then he got sent to Raccoon to be on some dead-end police force. And, I guess Umbrella has caused Raccoon City to fall into poverty and disarray because they're pulling out to go start their company in a different location. But I don't seem to remember everybody hating this shithole raccoon. So Leon's already there. He's very early, doesn't make the whole like, oh, this is my first day type of joke, but he's very early and is just there to be bad. Like he doesn't do a single thing in the entire duration of the movie. But like I was saying a moment ago, take every big, memorable, bad quote or moment from Resident Evil 1, and it's a little throwaway gag. Such as, let me bust out my napkin. By the way, Jill's in love with Wesker, and that's a subplot that goes nowhere. They're in a diner, and Leon's like passed out, hungover for whatever reason. He's at the bar, and Wesker goes, "Oh, make this shot, and I'll pay for dinner or something." So Jill Valentine pulls out like a fucking revolver for no reason because she's so confident that she could shoot a bottle off of Leon's head. So Wesker's like, whoa. No. Here's a dart gun because I keep that on me. Shoot it off his head. So she takes it, shoots Wesker in the forehead with the dart, and throws the gun at Leon. So he startles, wakes up, and it falls over. And then she picks up Wesker's sandwich and goes, "Looks like this is a Jill sandwich." And then I started keeping notes because that was fucking terrible. On top of that, if you are a fan of Resident Evil and you have been for quite some time, you'll know the number one most important thing to the Redfields is togetherness. Claire and Chris Redfield are thick as thieves. They don't go anywhere without each other. They're always looking out for each other, trying to help out where they can. So it was really weird when Chris thought that like William Birkin was basically his father because Umbrella gave him everything. They grew up in an orphanage where they were going to be experimented on by Umbrella, but Chris wasn't experimented on by Umbrella. He just became a cop for whatever reason. I mean, like, I know why he became a cop, but in the movie, there's zero character motivation for anything. They were going to start experimenting on Claire, so she runs away, and then I guess she just didn't see her brother for, like, the last 10 years for whatever reason. And they just hate each other for half the movie, which was really, really weird. Because, like, that's not either of their characters. Chris Redfield was, like, a straight-edge Boy Scout in the movie where she says bad language words and he gets offended, and lockpicking is such a weird concept to him. Also, they make a comment that you're still obsessed over Jill, bro. That's never going to happen. It's literally like the director saw the games and then was like, I got it. I know what this is actually about. What's the worst way to die? Eaten by a giant snake? Yeah, that was one of them. Would you rather get eaten by a giant snake or something else? But I didn't really go into that. I guess I didn't write the whole quote. But there's also this gimmick that they do a lot where there's copyrighted music. Obviously, it's the Hollywood movie, so everything's copyrighted music. But like 90s, 80s, 70s, like hit music that would have been popular in 1998 when the movie takes place, it'll start getting louder and building, and then you know something's about to happen. Like Brad, so you know, big spoiler, Brad Vickers dies in the helicopter, but he dies in the city helping Jill escape in Resident Evil 3. But whatever. So he's playing Snake on his phone, and then you hear music building and building and building, and then he's killed. Or Chief Irons tries to escape the city, and the Umbrella operatives start firing into cars and killing civilians as music is like blaring, and he's making haha funny man jokes. Like there's 3 or 4 instances where it's just copyrighted music getting louder, and then that's the payoff. That's the joke. So another like big detail in Resident Evil 2, the game, is that like the Umbrella operatives are going in to steal the research from Birkin so that they can keep it for themselves, and Birkin is cut off as like a loose end or whatever you want to say about it. So in this, Wesker, oh, by the way, there's a tunnel from the Arclay Mountains all the way to RPD itself. So that's cool. Wesker, when they get to the Arclay Mountains, kills Birkin himself by taking the tram thing all the way back to Raccoon, kills him, takes the virus, and then Birkin turns into Big Bad Monster, whatever. You know the game, or you don't, whatever. And then that's the one time Leon does something. He steps out with a rocket launcher and shoots Birkin during the final boss fight. And he just goes, I found it in first class. Like, that's it. There was just a rocket launcher on a train that was underneath the Arclay Mountains that was there for no reason. And the only big conflict I can think of is that they say that the city's going to collapse at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. whatever. I don't care what time. I think it was the morning. But there's no, like, nuke. Like, in the game, there was a big nuke that comes down and levels the whole city to try to cover up, oh, it's a zombie infection. We got to cover this up. We got to cover our tracks. But in the movie, everything just suddenly collapses. Like, the mansion just falls in on itself while they're escaping in the tunnel on the train. Because the train, it goes from the Arclay Mountains to wherever they exit, not from Raccoon to, like, some shipping yard. It just goes from the mountain. And everything just starts caving in on itself with no explosions, no trigger, no shadowy organization in charge. So Wesker kills Birkin the first time, goes to take the sample, and then I can't remember who. Somebody shoots Wesker, he dies. And then in the end credit scene, there is a scene where he breaks out of a black body bag, and this woman goes, the name's Wong. Ada Wong, and then hands him a pair of black sunglasses. So I guess Wesker now works for Ada Wong. Okie doke. But, like, that's what I mean. Unless you knew the game going into this, there's no conflict. The only thing we knew was that the city was going to be destroyed at 6, and Bravo team was going to look for the rest of stars at the Arclay Mountain for reasons. There was no reason for them to be out there. Bravo team went much later to go find them. Leon is a fucking useless cop. The only moment that I thought something was going to happen was he went to the basement where the prisoner is, who's spilling all the beans about Umbrella. And then zombie attack, whatever. Claire comes down, shotgun, boom, saves the day. And then Leon gets angry and just mag dumps his whole handgun into the zombie while yelling. Bah! Pulls the trigger 9 times. I kind of thought there'd be a big character moment where Leon stops being such a little bitch and actually does something. But no, the whole time he's just a guy that's like, hey, I'm new here. Like, this is all really weird. Like, I'm new here. This is weird. Come on, guys. This is odd, right? I'm just a cop. Like, that's his entire character. But then he turns into some badass one game later. No. There's also just it's like I said, this is all spoilers. There's just a bunch of throwaway things. Like, Birkin, when he becomes infected, is just taunting Chris. He's like, you thought that you could be my son and my family? Ha ha! Don't make me laugh. We've been lying to you for the last 20 years. It was all a big ruse. For whatever reason, like, we're forgetting the part where RPD was in the pocket of Umbrella the whole time because the boss, the Chief Irons, was on the take. But then for some reason, Irons has 0 protection and Umbrella shoots at him, even though he was the one that was letting their operation happen and looking the other way. Like, there's no consistency to any lore. Like, I'm not saying that you should follow the games to the letter, even though at this point you should, because the other franchise of Resident Evil movies is, like, fine with nods to the games, which is fun. But this one is very clearly ripping off the games and then just shitting on everything else. There's no consistency in the plot, the lore. There's no real conflict unless you know that, like, at some point Birkin must turn into a bad guy. That was a pretty cool thing. The CGI on Birkin's monster, pretty neat. The part where this random woman wrote "Itchy Tasty" on Chris Redfield's apartment door, why? because you played the game. That's literally why, is because we know that it was in the canon somewhere. We decided to put it in this movie. Like, everything down to a one-shot RPG on the final boss. Wesker decides to sell out stars and RPD to steal the research just for money so we can leave this shithole town, even though, if I remember, he was pretty instrumental in the creation of Mr. X, which doesn't exist. Mr. X isn't real. Nemesis isn't in here. None of them are. There's no big bad monster. Like, that's not there. That's retconned, I guess. But Sherry Birkin is there. She's not even blonde. Like, it's small things that, like, are just changed for a reason. I will say, Robbie Amell? One of the Amell brothers actually looks like a convincing Chris Redfield. I'll put his face right here. Albert Wesker, sure. There's no Barry Burton. Jill, sure. Somebody else plays Jill. It's not the classic looking Jill, but she's just a cocky asshole for no reason. For no reason. Like, before they actually show she's good at anything, she's just like badass for no reason, while everyone else is just kind of meh. Like, I don't know. Like, the movie wasn't horrendous. It just feels like there was so much more that could be done with the source material, which, like, the director wanted to do his own thing. Sure, fine. But don't make the original games just quotes and references when the source material did it better. And Resident Evil has a fucking wacky story that makes no sense if you actually try to, like, canonize it. I think there's like a 5-hour video that's just the canon of Resident Evil, and probably half it's been retconned since it came out. But the worst part is, it's the most concerning, is that the director already is trying to start working on a Code Veronica Resident Evil 4 movie. But I don't see how that works, seeing as how Chris was in Europe investigating Code Veronica during the events of Resident Evil 2, while Claire was there to find him. But in the movie, he's just there, but they just hate each other, and that's the conflict. I don't even think in the canon that Leon S. Kennedy and Jill Valentine have met, but they were pals in the first minute of the movie. So, like, I don't know how they'll set up Resident Evil 4 without just saying, oh, a lot of shit happened since last time you saw our friends, but they definitely have a lot of work to do, from Leon being a nothing to a super secret, badass right-hand man of the President of the United States, because he didn't survive Raccoon, as far as, like, the movie's concerned. He was at Arklay. They took a train from the orphanage to Arklay, and then escaped from there. So there's no, like, badass cop that survived the incident. It's just some guy that was at the Spencer Mansion. I don't get it. Whatever. If you want to see the movie, it's okay. It's an interesting watch. It's not crazy. There's no, like, nuts action sequences. There's some cool, like, things where there's some shootouts with the zombies, but beyond that, like, just nothing really happens. Just nothing. So, you know, like, let's take a step back, look at this objectively. I think the movie gets a 50%. There's nothing inherently terrible about the movie. There is just a whole lot of nothing happening to characters that you already know and like if you know the Resident Evil franchise. And then they just tweak them in ways that are just so weird for the canon of the characters. Like, why does Chris and Claire hate each other? Jill being in love with Wesker. Leon being some deadbeat in the military. William Birkin's adopted son, pseudo-adopted son, is Chris Redfield. What? But yeah, 50%, it's enjoyable in a bad movie way, which isn't great, because Resident Evil could use a pretty good movie to go with a series that's actually getting better onto its 8th installment. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys for joining my rant about Resident Evil. See you in the next movie review. But thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to click those links down below that lead you to other videos, my live streams, twitch.tv/LazyAfterDark. Love to see you there. Heck yeah, get it in there. And yeah, that's about it. See you guys next time. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye, everyone. It's just such weird.